Are you tired of replaying your N64 games? Do you yearn for a new experience that could take you back to the mid-90s that you just can't find anymore since you've played literally every single title released for the console? Well, have I got a deal for you. It's Kero Quest 64! Mystical landscapes, fun low-poly geometry, controls much like some platformers you may all know and love. It's all here and waiting for you to jump right in. And best of all, you can play it for free right now. Just call 1-800, download the free demo on Steam today. Okay, to be real, this game demo f***ing rules, and I've only just heard about it this week. Or, I guess probably last week or something by the time this video comes out. I'm not sure when the playable demo went live, but the Kickstarter for this game only started on December 21st of last year, so it's definitely a pretty new project. It's also worth mentioning that Brodude, a prominent SM64 ROM hacker, is part of the team here on Kero Quest 64, so that in itself promises quality in my opinion. But let's just take a quick look for ourselves. First of all, this title screen is sick. The backdrop is awesome, the logo looks clean with that frog tongue going all the way around it, and you can even shimmy it around to your heart's content. It kinda reminds me of the Star Fox 64 title screen where you were able to move the 64 logo around with all the characters watching as you do it. Aside from the vibes the visuals present to you, the music here also slaps. It's such a good mix of old school sounds and light orchestral instruments, and it's honestly just an inviting vibe. Right from the moment I booted up this game, I knew that I was in for a treat. To start out, we're set in front of our house with a little froggy friend Gero standing right next to us. It's pretty clear from the fact that he is a total nerd that he's gonna give us a little tutorial direction, and he does just that by telling us to head to the obstacle course near the lake to get a re-up on our controls and abilities. By reading the sign next to him, we're given the option to swap between a smooth functioning camera and a pivoting camera, kind of like Mario 64's. This is a cool option to have given that smooth cameras and platformers weren't very common on the N64, but this one feels a little too snappy for my liking, and you can't just press it 3 times expecting it to turn 3 pivots like you could in Mario 64. In the end, I just stuck with the smooth camera, and it works great. Getting into the obstacle course, it's all very simple. We learn that we've got a triple jump, a ledge climb, a backflip and side flip that give us pretty good height, a ground pound that can break objects and also serves as a high jump if you leap right after hitting the ground, and lastly, we've got a long jump, a spin attack, and a wall jump mechanic. These abilities all function as you'd expect coming from something like Super Mario 64, but there are some notable differences. Of course, we have the high jump after ground pounding, which I've only seen from more recent platformers, as well as the spin attack that seconds as an ability to keep yourself in the air for a small distance further than you can usually jump. But this wall jump is also particularly cool and easy to use. Rather than having to reflect yourself off the wall with a jump shortly after making contact with it, you can stick to the wall before sliding down, during which you can jump off at any point. I think this is a great set of abilities to start with, and they all work and feel great. Moving out of this obstacle course, we have one more ability to learn about. There's this ledge here that's too high for us to jump to with a bright pink bar attached to it, and by reading the sign here, we discover that we also have a frog tongue ability that we can use, which is good for grappling to these pink bars, or even pulling enemies in so we can defeat them at a close range. Just from this tutorial area alone, I'm feeling pretty confident that I'm gonna be enjoying this game. At the end of this little tutorial area, we can find a little platforming segment where we can collect our first black shard. These are basically the power stars of this game, and we can quickly see that we'll be needing to collect them in order to progress through these tall black barriers that hinder our progress. There is another shard close by, but we can't exactly get to it right now because these club platforms aren't solid yet. Well, okay, full disclosure, I played through this demo once already before recording, and in deleting my progress, the one thing that won't change back to a fresh save file is the button that activated these platforms. I don't know why, but it's just a demo, this is fine. So for now, let's just pretend that we don't have these. Walking past this big black barrier, we find ourselves in another hub world type of area connecting us to a few different levels, but because this drawbridge isn't lowered, we only have access to one of them. In these levels, the regular gameplay loop finally shows its face. In Kero Quest 64, we have all sorts of objectives to clear in order to collect more of these black crystal shards. We've got platforming challenges, which are all very fun and well designed. We're given a soccer ball at the start that, after we find the net it's meant to be kicked into, will reward us a shard. We have a box at the start of every level with a coin count on it that will reward us a shard once we've collected the required amount, and we even have one shard that's currently impossible for us to collect due to these platforms totally not being filled in yet. From the top of the level, it's actually possible to skip this hollow platform section, but there's still one more that stands between us and this shard, so it's not gonna happen right now. All said and done, once we've collected at least 3 of these black shards, we can find a switch that puts down the drawbridge we ran into earlier and move through to the next level. Right off the bat, I just want to say that this level is designed beautifully. There are so many places you can climb to that give you a great lay of the land, it's not too terribly big, allowing players to familiarize themselves with it really quickly, and honestly, it's just a really charming landscape. This level alone looks super promising for the rest of the game if the team's design philosophy can remain intact for the entire creation process. Moving into the second level, we can see a very similar approach used here. It's mostly vertical in scale rather than being big horizontally as well, allowing the player to wrap their mind around the space they have to work with pretty easily. Some of the platforming sections become a little harder than in the first level, which makes progression feel natural, and we're also introduced to these bouncy mushrooms that make up a good portion of the platforming we'll be doing to get to the top of this map. This level also introduces red and blue blocks that can't be active at the same time, forcing you to make the right decision at times for which to activate, which I think is pretty cool. This level also introduces some timed platforming challenges that are always a welcome addition to 3D platforming games like this. Most importantly though, this level doesn't just feel like more of the same coming from the first one. It definitely has a few unique aspects to it, especially in collecting some of these shards, and it really sets it apart from the first one. Oh yeah, also, I managed to find this weird golden spider in this course that at first I thought I wasn't able to kill with my current abilities or something, but in hitting it enough times, I managed to take it out and become golden myself. As far as I could tell, this is just a cosmetic change. It doesn't make me invincible, it didn't empower my ground pound ability, and my regular attack seems to function in the same way, so I'm not entirely sure what else it could be than just a fun costume swap. Once I finished up this level, I found at the very top that we actually have another level entrance hidden within this level itself. I love the idea of having levels show up in more places than just the hub world areas, and it served as a decent surprise to me in this demo. Like, I really didn't expect to have 3 full levels to run around in this demo, and I can't wait to see how many they have in the full release. Anyways, level 3 is a simple tower climb. We have all sorts of cleverly placed red and blue switches that will change how the level plays as we move through it, and there are some fun platforming challenges to conquer on our way up. At the top of our climb, we finally find the switch that turns on the club platforms that we definitely didn't have access to until now, and we have free reign to go back and collect anything so far that was hidden behind them. In the end of all this, Kero Quest 64 is looking to be an incredible game. From what I've been able to play so far, it's not that hard, but it offers a satisfying feeling to every shard you're able to find and collect. There are plenty of moments I had throughout the game where your movement was able to get you from one spot of the level to another that maybe you weren't supposed to access yet, and just having that amount of freedom felt so good to me, and it's very well executed. Congratulations to the team behind Kero Quest 64 for making such a fun demo. I can't wait to see what the final version of this game looks like whenever it's ready to be released. If you like this video and would like to see more from me, like and subscribe and all that, because I love making the content that I do here. As for now, my name's Myloe, and I'm out.